Hello, welcome to a brand new video. In this video, I will recreate this piece from my high school years and redrawing it in my current style. It was approximately 4 or 5 years ago, so I'll be redrawing this piece after, I'll say, 5 years from high school. So my style has evolved significantly, of course, from my high school days, where actually that was the first time that I made a cohesive body of work because I was working on my 2D AP art portfolio. And in it, we had like the breath section and then the concentration. And as part of my concentration, I had, you know, it was essentially the first time I made, I think it was 12, like a large number of pieces that had a same theme, same style, and same approach all across. And I think for a while, this style of work really did represent me as an artist. And even looking back at it now, I look at it with a different type of appreciation. And I think in general, I still stick to the same themes, which is why redrawing this piece in my current day style didn't feel as daunting. But obviously, the colors I used have changed, the techniques I used have changed. I mean, I've grown stylistically and technically. I mean, I've grown as a person as well from my high school teenage years. So I definitely think I can do a better job at painting this piece than I did back like 4 or 5 years ago in high school. So you may be asking, well, why did I select this piece out of like the 12 or however many I created at the time in high school? Because among the entire pieces in my concentration, this was the one piece I felt a bit iffy about, mainly because I loved the message. It was very personal based on my observations, and it was something that I had witnessed, and like an idea just popped in my head. I was like, yes, this is the perfect way to represent the message that I want to convey. But I knew that technicality, like in terms of the technique, in terms of my drawing skills, this is just not there. I mean, yeah, I will do a comparison somewhere towards the middle of this video or maybe towards the end, kind of showing the changes and the improvements. But in general, the hand drawings, the way that I drew the watch, it was just very iffy. And I know, even looking at it now, it has potential, and I want to see if my current day style can kind of do justice to this piece. And just for some context, this piece, well, my current style, I suppose, kind of evolved from this piece that I created in 2021, I want to say. And it is actually the inspiration behind a current the current set of paintings that I'm working on, and of course the one that is going to be completed in this video is going to be a part of, and it's going to be a cohesive series of artworks, but in a smaller scale, so 3 to 4 art pieces as opposed to the body of work I created in high school. Now going back to the issues that I had with the original piece, it might have been because this was part of my AP portfolio. Um, it might have been because, I had limited time. I was not confident with watercolors. I was not confident with using colors because obviously I wasn't confident in watercolors. Or I just wasn't maybe all too happy back then. But yeah, I just didn't use much color. There was this great background with each piece, and each of these pieces had a specific accent color assigned to it from the color wheel, and this color that I assigned to them was based on the message. So there were some pieces that had more green accent colors, some had more blue, etc., etc. And through my sketchbook sessions and actually our art and poetry book, The Scars We Ink in Gold, I got to use watercolors more, specifically more colors in watercolors. And I also grew into an adult in the meantime, and I feel more content and at ease, usually, not always, but usually, with where I'm at in life and who I am. So, my current day style definitely uses more color, but I feel like color, the use of color, it is quite subjective. Some may enjoy it with more color, some may enjoy it with less color. So I'll talk about the one thing I absolutely disliked the most about this piece, which was the roots at the bottom. I wanted to symbolize the hands as nurturing and giving, so obviously I tried to give it three characteristics, but it seems very last minute. Um, Mainly because of the way the roots are not flowing as naturally and they're barely going outside the page. It feels like I kind of shrunk it to try to fit everything into one page. And yeah, in this piece, I just negated the roots. But if I were to include them, I would have made them bigger and I wouldn't have really shied away from drawing some of the roots going outside the page. I think that would have caused a bit more, it would have been more interesting to look at and it would have looked more intentional as opposed to accidental. So even though the addition, well, I guess the subtraction of the root is different between the two pieces, one thing I'm noticing is that even back then, I had this fascination with things being broken, um, having cracks in them, and kind of representing hands as porcelain almost. So, as I typically do, I decided to make the hands appear as broken porcelain pieces that are coming together. And there is this Japanese style of art that I'm very intrigued by, which is also kind of the title of our book. And it's kind of what's inspiring the next, set of series that I was talking about. And that's kind of why you will see me end up using gold paint in between those cracks as well. So, apart from the colors, some of the obvious areas of improvement. So, when I finished this piece, where did I see the most improvement? It was, as I mentioned earlier, the watch. um, in terms of drawing, the watch is just the one right now, it just looks cleaner. The hands, obviously, I think I got better at, like, if you notice, the hands that I drew right now, they are essentially missing a joint, but that's because I learned how to convey the same thing with less, if that makes sense. And the cracks, yeah, I think I emphasize them more in this piece. It's definitely become a bit more central and kind of the standout side of things in this piece than it was originally. And yeah, just as mentioned, conveying the same message with essentially less stuff. So there is clear improvement in my drawing skills, but again, as I mentioned, style is so personal and it's very personal preference based. So it's quite hard for me to comment on the style if there is improvement in the style because I know some people may prefer the gray background with some accent colors, and some may actually prefer the more colorful style that I have going on for at least the next few pieces that are in the series. Um, I mean, I myself, sometimes look at my old art pieces and I love some of the aspects that I have going on more so than what I have currently in my style, right? Like, style is it's always evolving, and it's just part of experimenting and trying new things that, you take out certain elements, you add on certain elements, and you eventually find something you like. And when you do, your skill sets grow, you technically improve so much more, and you're essentially back to square one and experimenting with style again. Like in my old pieces, I love how much shading there is, how bold I was with fine liners. I didn't hold back, I just went with shading. I liked just having one accent color, and I like the little messy feeling that I have, but just looking at the current piece that I'm drawing in this video, I do think I have a better grasp of drawing more accurately and being more intentional with my lines. Um, I obviously feel more confident when it comes to using color. So that's just another tool in my toolbox that I can use if I decide to further implement it in my style down the line, or, whenever the occasion calls for it. Now, my style may continue to change, and as I hinted, um, I'm just planning on working on like series of works that are a bit more cohesive. Actually, I'll also be making a video soon explaining my plans for my art journey and obviously by proxy my art style. But regardless, what has stayed consistent is the fact that I like hiding messages in my pieces. I like having this almost surrealistic, how do you pronounce that word? This surreal type of look to my pieces, and that is something I plan on sticking to. And I don't know, I just enjoy making pieces that are not as direct. It requires a bit of looking, a bit of thinking, and sometimes the message is even up for interpretation, and everybody may interpret it differently than um, the message that I was kind of hiding in the piece, which I find very fascinating and I absolutely love. Anyways, I've showed the comparison between the two pieces, talked a bit about how I feel I've improved, and I think that's all I have for this video. Thank you for watching. Please let me know of your opinions. Which piece do you prefer? Which style do you prefer? I'm always open to these types of discussions, and I hope to see you in my next video.